Looking for these better days.
It is Thursday, February 5th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. More NBA trade deadline deals going down yesterday, and coming up later on today, Mackenzie Rivers and I live from San Francisco. That's right, this is Better Day presented by FanDuel, and yesterday I incorrectly said that yesterday was the NBA trade deadline day. It is today, Thursday, February 5th at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So, yes, more moves went down yesterday, Mackenzie, including a big move last night by the Golden State Warriors, who acquire Kristaps Porzingis in a deal from the Atlanta Hawks, sending Atlanta Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. And then in a subsequent move following that, the Warriors trading center Trace Jackson Davis to the Toronto Raptors for a second-round pick. What do you make of the Dubs moves last night?
They got rid of a backup center that couldn't shoot and got in a starting center that could shoot, but it's pretty uninspiring. Unless, I'm holding out hope as a Curry fan that they can package Jimmy Butler's corpse and Draymond Green for Giannis tomorrow, but that is increasingly unlikely. I do not think this moves the needle at all. I mean, first of all, Kristaps Porzingis doesn't solve their problem as far as they don't have enough people that play. Curry's trying to play 65 games a year. That's an optimistic number for a guy that's 37 and runs as much as he can. Draymond Green, for injuries and suspensions and whatever else, I wouldn't call him a reliable player. And they have a player that's had a few moments in the playoffs in between illnesses and mysterious injuries. I think, Porzingis is worth a point to the line. The Warriors could use him as much as anybody. But I thought they had bigger, with all this talk and buzz about how Kerr is, I'm not involved with trade talks, and I'm just going to do what Dunleavy says. Pretty uninspiring result for the Warriors. For the Hawks, I don't know. Some people are Kuminga believers. I've never really been that much of one. They have a lot of lottery tickets at the wing now with the number one pick, Ricochet, Kuminga, Buddy Hield for some depth. Nothing that's going to move the needle for them either.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if this is a precursor to a bigger move.
It's kind of like the Celtics getting Vucevic. Okay deal. If Tatum comes back, it becomes a great deal. It makes total sense. This is an okay deal. I don't mind Porzingis. It doesn't make any sense unless they have another star to pair with Curry.
Well, that wasn't the biggest shocker of the day yesterday. The Dallas Mavericks continuing their overhaul as they trade Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards, part of an 8-player blockbuster deal that's going. The real purpose was to maximize the Mavericks' flexibility to build around their new star rookie Cooper Flagg. So apparently trading away Luka Doncic gets you back Chris Middleton and Marvin Bagley III and some draft picks. AD going to the Wizards, Mackenzie.
Yeah, and Bill Simmons recently had his trade value list, and Cooper Flagg was number 5. So, in a way, Mavericks couldn't be happier. Luka Doncic was number 6. They have, something that all the fans should be really resonating with. However, none of the pieces that they got for Luka Doncic led to Cooper Flagg, other than the fact that they sucked without him. So they got a better draft odds a little bit. They still got lucky.
Yeah.
But if you just add up all the assets that they got and all the assets that went out the door, it's pretty stark. Anthony Davis, for the Wizards' perspective, I think he's the best Wizard. I think he's better than Gilbert Arenas ever was since Wes Unseld. So I guess Championship Town is back, like it's the 1970s again. Obviously, there's a major asterisk with him. But if you're just looking on a per-possession basis, he's top 5 all-time in player efficiency rating in the playoffs. Some of that is a huge bubble run, but generally, that's a career stat. He's been excellent, one of the better players in the league. In the rare instances he gets to show it on the biggest stage, Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that's good. The Wizards, man, it's interesting. They've made a lot of moves, and it's the landscape of the NBA, let's just say, is going to change possibly in the next year or so. How about the Raptors pulling a 3-team deal with the Clippers? Chris Paul is going to the Toronto Raptors, but Chris Paul is really
he even going to make the flight?
Yeah. No, he's not. Chris Paul is not expected to report to the team. They could like trade him again, or they just like send him out and he becomes a free agent. Or, I mean, Chris Paul's not an NBA player anymore, so I don't think like this is like even worth mentioning. This was a salary trade for all three of these teams.
I mean, imagine you're Chris Paul sitting at home and you realize that, first of all, you are a Clipper. And then the second of all, that they're trading you. Like, what? I thought he was cut. I can't believe he's actually part of, somehow the Clippers got some use out of him after sending him home, a month into the season.
Yeah. Other news, speaking of becoming a free agent after you get traded, Lonzo Ball traded to the Utah Jazz, but is expected to become a free agent. That was a 3-team deal with the Cavs and the Hawks. Didn't even know Lonzo Ball was still a relevant an NBA player. I mean, I know a lot of things that are going on here. Right now.
He's a guy that a lot of teams, if they lose a point guard, could pick up. The Thunder won't be one of them because they just traded for Jared McCain, who was favored to win Rookie of the Year last year. Hasn't really disappeared since his early season injury last year. But those are the type of players that might be the last piece of a puzzle, an eighth man on a team that faces an injury or two.
Yeah, so OKC dealing with an injury as SGA is going to be out through the All-Star break with an ab strain.
And the MVP race is back.
Yeah.
SGA now only minus 200, Jokic plus 250. It's going to be a fun race.
And the Sixers do send McCain to the Thunder for 4 draft picks, 16th overall pick in the 2024 draft, Jared McCain going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Just a wild trade deadline. Again, we're still waiting on maybe the biggest domino to fall, which is could Giannis be dealt later on today? But, the Warriors making some moves last night. Let's take a look at the updated odds, Mackenzie, courtesy of the FanDuel Sportsbook. Are you interested at all in the Golden State Warriors? I'm going to give you a couple of odds here. To win the Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors are 75-1. Okay.
Wow.
In their division, Pacific Division winner, they are 22-1 behind the Lakers and the Suns. And let's see, how about playoffs? It's not listed right now, Golden State Warriors to make the playoffs. But are you intrigued at all by the Golden State Warriors after this trade?
Not at all. Absolutely not at all.
Yeah.
Even if there was a 50% chance they'd get Giannis, those odds are about right. Like, I don't think Giannis fixes all their problems, but okay, they'd obviously be much better. They'd be like 25-1 to win the title instead of 100-1 like they are now. But I don't think that's going to happen because Giannis and his people can read the tea leaves too. It's not even the end of the dynasty. This is the last like death rattle of a once great team.
Well, we had some interesting games last night in the wake of all this trade nonsense. We speculated that James Harden would make his Cavaliers debut because why not? Like, he gets traded from the Clippers to the Cavaliers, and guess what? The Clippers are playing the Cavaliers in LA last night, but James Harden did not play, according to Chris Haynes. Quote, if acclimation goes as planned, Harden is expected to make his debut on the road against the Sacramento Kings on Saturday, according to his sources. Mackenzie, what is the acclimation plan for James Harden? Can't you just put him on the floor and be like, dude, play a couple of minutes and, call for the basketball and take some shots?
In basketball, more than any other sport, you can absolutely do that. Kind of like how running backs don't really need the playbook. Once you get the ball, you can see where the hole is, you go. Basketball is all read and react. I bet it's literally like, oh, I wanted to, rent my house and I wanted to, get my kids in school. Like it's like that kind of shit. Nothing to do with acclimation period as far as basketball is concerned.
So dumb. Like what?
Right? It would have been. He should have just played first the Clippers. It would have been a better game probably. But good vibes for the Cavaliers. They seem to be ready for this next stage, dominating the Clippers.
Yeah, ready for their next stage. The New York Knicks, Mackenzie, are ready for their next stage as they have won, what is it, 8 straight games now? Last
Yep.
night took double overtime, so they were pushed to the brink, but they get a 134-127 win over the Nuggets. Yeah, 8 straight wins for the New York Knicks, and that is the longest current winning streak in the NBA.
It's wild, the swings of the Knicks. We were talking about how they're going to win the East after they win the conference, the NBA Cup, and then everyone needs to be traded. They're terrible when they were 2-9 shortly after, and then they win 8 straight. The season is probably twice as many games as too long, but the net rating is manna from heaven that tells us the true story. They were supposed to be 4 points better than average team. They're 6 points better than an average team. I think they're exactly where they want to be. If they get Giannis for Towns, that would be better than that, but
Yeah.
they are going to be a contender all the way through in the East.
Celtics beat the Rockets last night, 114-93. You had the Rockets as the
I
free
did.
play of the day last night up on betterday.com. Actually got some significant closing line value on the Rockets because of Jaylen Brown and him not playing last night. But what the heck was that performance at home against Boston? Is this the case where, and we often see it sometimes, when the star player is out and everybody underestimates that team, the team shows up to play?
Yes, in an 82 NBA game season, sometimes people are going to be like, "Wow, this is my chance to really do something," and sometimes, like Kevin Durant starting this game with 3 points in the first half, another game. Let's get through it. It definitely felt like that from the onset with the Rockets, 17 points. And it's frustrating because you mentioned the closing line value. It closed at 8.5. So 4 points
yeah.
of closing line value. But the game I handicapped was not the game that I witnessed. And it's no excuse. I could have gone back and bet Celtics money line or something because I did.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this in the chat. Thought it was a high variance game once Jaylen Brown was out because you just don't know the type of efforts you're going to get from both teams. If this was a playoff game, max intensity, I think the Rockets handled it a lot differently, but they didn't.
Yep, nope. Well, who also didn't handle things differently was the Oklahoma City Thunder, as the San Antonio Spurs still have their number, Mackenzie. Spurs beating the Thunder at home last night, 116-106. I know they were without SGA, but I still think the Thunder have a Spurs problem.
They have an offensive problem, and I don't think anyone exposes it as much as the Spurs with the athleticism they have on the wing, and of course Victor Wembanyama, still for my money, best defensive player in the league. But for SGA's point of view, I got a lot last year talking to guys like Fezzik, like, yeah, he's really good, but the Thunder would still be favored to win the title without him. No, they wouldn't. He's a special player. He's a difference maker to take a defensive-oriented team and make them an all-around juggernaut. Without him, they're a defensive-oriented team with major holes.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the schedule for tonight in the NBA. Again, the trade deadline, I incorrectly said it on yesterday's episode. It is today at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So games tonight will certainly be impacted by the trade deadline, or if they haven't already been impacted by the trade deadline. The soon-to-be new-look Washington Wizards are at the Detroit Pistons. Mackenzie, Pistons 14.5-point favorites up on FanDuel. The Nets are at the Magic. Orlando 11.5-point favorites. The Jazz visit the Hawks. Atlanta 10-point favorites over Utah. I don't know if both these teams are going to look like they're new versions of themselves, but 10 points, a heavy line here for Atlanta over Utah.
I think the more moving pieces you have on a team, like the Jazz getting Jaren Jackson Jr., the more unsettled it is. But then again, I would have said that about the Cavs, and they took care of business. So it's a difficult day to handicap. I'll be looking at the card more. I couldn't tell you how the trade deadline is going to affect these teams.
And also, I don't know who's playing for the Hawks tonight, with all their roster moves and whatnot.
Right.
Bulls are at the Raptors. Toronto 9-point favorites. Hornets visit the Rockets. Houston a 4-point favorite at home against Charlotte. The concerns yesterday after watching the Rockets drop that game to the Celtics, do you think that is a bounce back spot tonight against Charlotte, or do you think Charlotte comes out hot and the young legs get to the Rockets and the Rockets drop another one where they should win?
I think it's very possible that they drop another one. I'll say this: I lean heavily towards the under. The Rockets offense has stuttered and gotten worse in the last month or so, but their defense is still legit, and I feel like they have some pride. Ime Udoka's crew is going to be hearing it in the locker room, and I think they come out with a strong defensive effort. And the Hornets have been much better defensively recently too.
All right, elsewhere on the schedule, the Spurs visit the Mavericks. San Antonio on the second night of a back-to-back, 6.5-point favorites. Do we want to back the Mavericks like Dallas, how they've done against good teams? San Antonio coming off the win at home against OKC. Maybe a drop down in energy or intensity here against the Mavericks?
Yeah, I like them, especially early, the Mavericks, to make this close. Maybe first half bet would be the way I would look at it.
Warriors are at the Suns. Phoenix, a 6.5-point favorite. And the 76ers visit the Lakers with LA, 3.5-point favorites over Philly tonight, Mac.
I lean to the Suns and I lean to the Sixers. I think the Warriors are kind of like in a pause period, waiting for what's actually going to happen with that team with those major trades and maybe one more. And the Sixers, I just think, are a better team than the Lakers right now. I think the first month and a half of the season had a lot to do with Austin Reeves being phenomenal, and I'm not sure they're going to get that magic back immediately.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on those games for tonight. Of course, head to betterday.com. We'll post free plays up. The free play of the day is going to be up on the homepage, as always, on betterday.com. NHL, we have a couple of games tonight. It is the final day before the Olympic break, and we gave you the stats from 2014. The last time that NHL players went to the Olympics, and the last day or the last game for each team prior to going on the 2-week Olympic break, favorites went 12-3 straight up. And Mackenzie, as you pointed out, when the line was -130 or greater, those favorites went 9-1 straight up. So here's what their schedule looks like tonight. The Penguins are at the Sabres. Buffalo up on FanDuel, a -137 favorite. Carolina is at the Rangers. The Hurricanes, a -215 favorite. Senators are at the Flyers. Ottawa, -125 road favorites. Islanders visit the Devils. New Jersey, -111. Nashville is at Washington. The Capitals, -182 favorites. Panthers are at the Lightning, where the Lightning are -188. And the Kings and the Golden Knights both playing on the second night of a back-to-back. LA here in Vegas at the Fortress. And the Knights, a -144 favorite. So keep that in mind, but also keep in mind it is the final game before the Olympic break. Maybe some of these teams like the Panthers, Lightning, the Knights even, some of these players that are about to go to Italy take it easy a little bit, that they don't want to see themselves get hurt.
I feel like there's something, though. I mean, the end of the right before the NBA All-Star break, I've noticed this trend. If there's 5 games to go and you have something huge in the future that you're focused on, you might be a little distracted. With 1 game left, I think that's why we see favorites do well. They can, kind of focus in and get this done, because then they do get to relax and, think about what's coming up in probably the most important tournament of their lives for many of them.
I wonder if overs are going to be the way to go tonight, though. Like, I wonder if, the Grand Salami over is, the play. Because if players are cautious and don't want to get hurt before the Olympics, are they going to dive and get in front of pucks? Are they going to want to block shots? Are they going to want to, have big hits in the corner and battles for the puck against the boards? Or is it more of an open skating all-star game type intensity where it's like, hey, I know it's we're not going to come out and say it, but this is kind of like an unspoken, unwritten rule where it's like, hey guys, we're not trying
all
to
the same oat bag.
We're not. Yeah, exactly. You take
Let's
first. I'll place.
Get to the finish line.
Yeah, we're not trying to hurt each other. So maybe that opens it up to some open scoring here tonight in the NHL.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, Magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait, order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Football news, Mackenzie and I, a little bit later on this morning. Well, actually, we will, as soon as we're done wrapping up this podcast, we will be headed to the airport, and we are going to San Francisco, where we will be live on Radio Row. We'll have some interviews, some videos, and we'll do a live stream, of course, a little Q&A action as we get you the final bets for the game coming up here on Sunday. Yesterday in the NFL, Mackenzie, before we do any more Super Bowl conversation, the Jets naming Frank Reich as their new offensive coordinator. So how big of a hire was this for Aaron Glenn?
Hey, it worked for the Eagles back in the day, and there were some brief moments in Indianapolis where it looked like he knew what he was doing. But it does seem like the best after the music had stopped and everyone got a chair. Similar to the Matt Nagy for the Giants. Like, it seems like these names aren't the type of names you hear early in the cycle, but more towards the end. People that have had been run through the ringer of late.
Well, Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday. The Seahawks still 4.5-point favorites, minus 112 up on FanDuel, total of 45.5. I was talking with Steve Fezzik yesterday, and we talked out a play that Fez played at one of the local properties here in town, and it was the longest touchdown of the game. Now, Mackenzie Rivers, you're handicapping this. Okay, which team in your mind should be the favorite, and what should the odds be?
It should be the Seahawks because they're favorite in the game. Obviously, I mean, if you don't know anything else, you know that you're gonna be favored to get more touchdowns. Therefore, the longest touchdown would be likely. I think it would be similar to the game odds because they have JSN and maybe a couple more Shaheed, a couple more explosive players. I'd say it's a little bit more than the money line. I'm going to say, but there's some more randomness to it, so maybe a little less than the money line. I'm going to say minus 200 is a good odd, is my handicap.
So my thought process was, obviously it's the Seahawks because, they're projected to score more points, right?
Right.
And they're projected to win the game with their 4.5-point favorites. My thought process was the money line is like 200 to 220 to 190, depending on where you look, right? I mean, up on FanDuel right now, it's minus 225 is what the Seahawks are on the money line. And I thought it was going to be like less than the money line, not significantly less than the money line, but less than the money line. And I said about probably like minus 150, minus 160 range.
Right.
Well, Mackenzie, at Stations Casinos here in Las Vegas, this prop was minus 135.
It just seems like a bad line. It just seems like the bookmakers aren't thinking it all the way through.
I, like you, thought this number is way off, right? And the way that I talked it out was if you just look at, first off, like just think about it. Who's more likely to score long touchdowns? You have JSN, you have Rashid Shaheed, right? Kenneth Walker can break one out. Like if the Patriots, what are we talking about? Like maybe like Kayshon Boutte catches a long pass? Like is that about it? As far as like the explosivity is concerned?
I do like his over longest completion, 17.5, but yeah.
Yeah, so like if we're just talking about like who's more explosive, the answer is the Seahawks. But then I tried to do a mathematical approach to this, and I just looked at the longest receptions props for all the players, and I looked at the longest rush props for all the players, not including Drake May, his longest rush. And the Seahawks have the edge in both categories, right? Kenneth Walker's longest rush is 14.5. So obviously out of all the running backs, he's projected to have the most explosive play. And in the receiving, Jackson Smith and Jigba, his longest reception prop is at 27.5 up on FanDuel. Stephon Diggs is at 17.5. And then you have Cooper Kupp 16.5 and Rashid Shaheed 14.5, whatever. But like clearly the Seahawks are projected to have the more explosive plays. I thought this is a great bet.
Exactly, because think about it. What is the over-under? It's saying in 100 games, 50 times it's going to be over this number, 50 times it's going to be under this number, and the median result will be Booty 18 yards, Mac Hollins 15 yards, et cetera, and et cetera. So the expectation is if you play this game 100 times out, regardless of who scores more touchdowns, that's like over here on one side. Just think about who gets the longest plays. The Seahawks should be a minus 150 favorite, it sounds like. If you add in the fact that they're going to win the game and score more touchdowns 2/3 of the time, essentially, this seems like a slam dunk.
Total touchdowns in the game up on FanDuel, 5.5. The under is minus 168. What's your lean?
I like the over in the game. I think it's going to start off a little cagey.
Yeah.
And I think the floodgates open up. I know, hope I'm not stepping on his toes. I know Fez likes over 22.5 in the second half. I like over in the game as well. I think it gets started in the second quarter.
Second half total right now up on FanDuel is 22.5 minus 125. That is a play that I would make as well. All right, that'll wrap up the conversation. Later on today, Mackenzie and I will be doing some content live from Radio Row in San Francisco. So make sure you're following us on social media. We'll try to put out some live videos. We will do a live stream for Better Day Premium members. So you want to make sure you check that out as well. Live from Radio Row in San Francisco, getting you ready for the Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Patriots. That is coming up later on today. And of course, for tomorrow's special Football Friday episode, it'll be all our content live from Radio Row. Also, our Super Bowl virtual assistant is still live for free for all BetterDay.com members. The link is on our homepage. So as soon as you go to BetterDay.com, you click on the Super Bowl Ultimate Assistant, ask it anything you'd like, help you formulate your best prop bets, or just line shop. Maybe find the best line on a certain prop, and it'll spit that out for you. So play around with it. It's free. It's pretty cool. Ask it whatever you'd like. Get ready to place your bets for the big game. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.